Hey guys, hope you're well. I just wanted to do a quick breakdown today on the David Benavidez versus David Morrell fight from a couple of months ago. It's one of my favourite fights that I've seen this year. This was a pretty dramatic round in itself. This is round 11. Well, I basically got a request to do this fight in particular, and I really wanted to because it was pretty skillful. I like both boxers. David Benavidez, I think, is one of the most overhated boxers in the sport. I think he's technically excellent and very interesting to break down. But yeah, let's get into it and let's break down both their full decisions. All right, so the first thing I'm going to see from Benavidez is going to take the center quite quickly in this round 11. He's going to raise his guard, use this bladed look over here, being ready to defend the lead hand of Morrell, getting a parry hand on it and making sure he's defending Morrell's lead hand. I love the saying from Barry Robinson, high hand wins. I love that saying. I say it regularly to my boxers, and it's a really true thing. There's so much more control established from having your lead hand higher on than your opponent's. Okay, after this, he is going to feint low in this sort of Philly shell look. He's going to come back up with a high guard again. He's circling off to his right here. He's using his looks around to his right and is going to be touching with the jab as he moves to his right, raising his guard a little bit. He sort of feints the step here a little bit quickly. And I'm not sure why he's going to his right now. I suppose we'll see in a second. He gives Morrell the exit space as Morrell uses a bladed guard and pivots out to the right. And I think, oh, well, there we go. It's just answered my question. Benavidez likes the inside angle in order to land his jab. As you can see, he's on the inside angle here. He leans over and then comes up with a vertical jab. Really nice long lead hand there. After this, he sort of takes a back step a little bit, just looking for defense. He's waiting. He sees the jab and parries it as he steps back. Now what's he going to do? He's going to use his high guard feint to step forward a little bit, stalk forwards, lean over. He's still looking at Morrell's high guard quite intentfully. He then looks for a counter. He blocks high on the glove, comes back with a feint as he steps in, and he uses the step in from the lead foot to sort of shuffle in and then boom, around the guard with this great right hand here. He then uses a frame with his lead hand just to clean up his work and make sure he's back on balance. He steps forward again, he's in that inside angle, and then boom, uses a jab as Morrell tries to come forwards. Really nice work. Now, if we look at Morrell, he's staying very patient, isn't he? He's just using his high guard. He doesn't have a very good lead hand defense, actually. A lot of these shots have gotten through or have been managed to be controlled already. His lead hand is being stifled by Benavidez because he's making the intention to defend it. In fact, none of these have landed so far out of the 3 jabs he's thrown. Plus, in my opinion, he's in quite this passive high guard, which he'll probably use as a sort of countering tool later. But at the moment, it's one of David Benavidez's favourite thing to see against him is someone in a sort of passive high guard, because he loves feinting and coming around and being creative with his openings. So here, David Benavidez is going to defend his Morrell's lead hand again. He steps forward with this bladed look, uses it to parry the front hand, even if it's a touch, and then is just going to wait, look for defense, pull away from the first hook. And after defending this lead hook here, he shuffles back, makes sure he's out of range for any follow-up shots. So as you can see, Morrell's game plan here is to establish his lead hand, which keeps getting correctly defended by Benavidez. He's moving around to the inside again, Benavidez, with these tiny small steps to his right, as you can see here. And then look how he gets the outside foot position after here. He disguises moving to his right and then feints in, gets the outside foot position by this sort of feint right hand here, and then boom, shoots straight through the middle with the right hand. He's going to attempt the same thing here. He's going to walk him down. He's going to raise his guard, which he's used previously to defend the lead hand of David Morrell. So maybe this is what his intention is here. After doing that, he's going to feint the right hand. Morrell's going to react by trying to counter with a hook. Benavidez gets the outside foot position with this feint and then comes around with his left hook. He pulls away from the threat of the counter and then uses a frame straight away just to occupy the guard of Morrell. He then turns this into a frame as Morrell tries to retaliate and then uses his movement backwards with this parry to shuffle out of range away from danger. Really nice defensive work by Benavidez here. Again, he's on the inside foot position. There's an aggressive Morrell in front of him with these high guard looks. He wants to retaliate, so Benavidez is going to use his reach, keep him at bay, and then come up with this jab here. He then turns his lead hand into a feint low. It changes the level of Morrell. He gets the outside foot position and then comes in with this beautiful uppercut here. Really creative three-punch combinations by Benavidez. So here he's going to do something beautiful. He's going to circle around to his right, and as soon as Morrell gets the high hand position on his lead hand, Benavidez is just going to feint his lead hand low, which makes Morrell quite hesitant, and he retracts his hand quite quickly. Just that threat of a counter is a great look and a feint. He moves a little bit further into the inside, and then he's going to use it to come up with his jab here, a little bit vertically. From all this righted movement here, as he circles off to his right, he's actually going to commit to this jab to the body and then sort of get trapped here. The only way is back. He gets trapped on the ropes here, and Morrell knows this. He's feinted him back, he's used his jab, and then he's going to touch upstairs, feint the left hand here, and then come around to the body and then the head. Now, David Benavidez has these super awkward blocks here. You can see him completely square up and then just sort of squeeze his guard as he tries to move off. But they don't look super in place, his gloves, and he only really gets hit with like 2 shots in that whole exchange. Now, you could argue that a lot of what Morrell was throwing was throwaways, but it's always impressed me how he never seems to get hit super cleanly, David Benavidez. Benavidez moves around away from the ropes towards to his right. Morrell's had a little bit of success, so he's going to feint his entry and make Benavidez respectful. And then Benavidez is going to use his looks backwards just a little bit before firing off this great jab in the middle. He raises it to a sort of chin level, his lead hand, and then steps in with it very subtly. Morrell does the right thing. Now, if you watch this jab, it comes high, but then it goes low. It doesn't retract to the chin. He's also leaning over. So what does Morrell do? Just jabs him over the top. Really nice counter there. Now here, it's going to wake up Benavidez a little bit. He's going to use this bladed high guard here. He's just going to be waiting while he moves around to his right and a little bit backwards. And what's he doing? He's looking for the counter through the high guard. Okay? He's waiting, pulls away, 1-2, and it sort of gets squashed on the guard. But it was a good intent. Here he's going to circle off to his right, use his high guard again, pull away and parry at the same time this jab from Morrell. He's keeping his lead hand defense as a main priority in this fight, Benavidez is. He continues to subtly move to his right. The reason he can be a little bit, not lazy with his looks here, but a little bit passive, because what Morrell's thinking is there's a huge threat of a counter at any moment from Benavidez, and all these passive looks make it a lot easier to land counters and make other people hesitant. He's moving around to his right. He's looking for a counter again. He sees the touch jab, pulls over it, and tries to jab over the top. As soon as he sees him open up, Morrell actually decides to come in with a 2-punch combination, and he tries to go for this 3-2 here. But Benavidez, after this jab, he just bends at the waist and shuffles backwards, and then adds a little reset to the right once he's on the ropes. Again, Morrell stalking him forward. Benavidez is going to make sure to parry his lead hand. He's then going to decide he's a little bit too close to the ropes, so he's going to come in with a squeeze and smother the attack from Morrell, and that pushes Morrell back. Benavidez wants control of the center again, so he moves forward and uses a sort of touch right hand here. I like the term jab-like right hand, especially against the southpaw. I'm a big fan of lead hand work, but obviously against the southpaw, if you do have the range, as Benavidez has here, in terms of reach, it's just such an effective shot to bother a southpaw and vice versa. He moves again inside and with this beautiful long jab here. He brings it back low, but he doesn't get countered for it this time. Moves around to his right, blocks up the touch jab, and then he sees this second half jab to the air. He sees him coming with a straight left. He's looking for a counter, pulls away, and then comes around with a hook and sort of gets this hook stifled by the smother from Morrell. So it looks a bit messy here, but then you can actually see that he's got a frame with his forearm here, Benavidez. Then he changes it to a frame with his right glove and then uses it to keep it there, almost hold the back of the head and go for this left uppercut touch and then a left hook to the body. Good shot. Morrell moves inside the lead foot and then tries to start his attack. He goes for a 3, which is blocked high by Benavidez, and then an uppercut, which, again, Benavidez just pulls away from with his tricky hand positioning. Now watch Benavidez's feet. He shuffles out, takes the right angle, and then throws a 2. He really uses that sort of pull shuffle back, really good defensively, and transitions it well into counters. He sees Morrell off balance and sort of have to regain his base. Here is a perfect example of how tired Morrell is. You can see his legs straighten up. He doesn't get back into his stance and base straight away. And then Benavidez knows this, closes the distance with a walk, and then just goes touch with the 2 as he steps out with his right foot. So what is this doing? He's squaring up his base. He's almost in a southpaw position now, and then goes touch with the 2, touch with the 1, and then hook around to the body. Finding the opening on the high guard wonderfully. Then he gets back into his orthodox position, steps forward with this high block here, and then again pulls away from this body shot with this sort of weird cross-arm block here, which he keeps doing. Morrell comes in and he raises his guard just in case of counters, but instead of countering back, Benavidez just puts up his guard and does take this right hook as he tries to smother with a frame. Again, Benavidez showing his awkward blocks here. He's pretty square on. He takes this 2 to the gloves. As you can see, he just raises his guard as he pulls back, takes this hook around. I think what makes it so effective is actually just the slight raise just at the time of impact. So as you can see here, he just raises the right glove slightly, and here he keeps this high guard. As soon as he sees the hook, he waits, and then lifts up his lead glove. It's so subtle, but it just seems to be such effective defense. It looks so tricky to get through. Morrell does the right thing here. He smothers the distance, pushes him back, and lands this sort of left hook around near the ear. Benavidez is happy to stay in this high guard. He's then going to decide to close the distance, get under Morrell's head, make sure it's safe to punch, and then he goes for a touch right uppercut and then a left uppercut himself. He keeps it there as a frame and pushes him off. And then, wonderfully, he tries to go for this touch left uppercut here, but then very quickly transitions it into a parry, or more of a block, really. Parry, block, and then looks for a counter straight away with a hook. Really nice reflexes here. How does he defend himself at the end? He just pulls away. He does take this body shot, though, but he stays in range. He uses a sort of touch jab here to raise the guard, and then he just shoots a right hook to the body, and just barely manages to pull away from this counter here. Again, he's still in range. He looks for another counter, touch jab, and then boom, lovely right hand. Incredible inside work, honestly. I mean, if that's not skill, I don't know what is. Is really incredible inside work there. Again, he sort of uses this high guard and then just a slight guard raise as soon as the punch comes. Morrell uses his lead hand effectively here and feints it around before coming around with a hook. Lovely work. And then tries to go for a left hand, but Benavidez is already backed away and shuffled out and reset to his right. Morrell doesn't let him escape this time and puts the pressure on straight away. He feints once, feints twice, and then comes around with a hook. Lovely work. And again, he's looking to set up his left hand, Morrell, but every time it seems that Benavidez just shuffles back out of range and isn't really there for it. Here, they both look a little bit tired. Again, he's going to use the same setup, Morrell. He's going to show the jab, feint around, come around with a hook, and then come around with the left hand. You see Benavidez's gloves lean over to the left to block this right hook, and then to the right to block this left hand here, and it just bounces off the glove. He moves around to the ropes. Morrell is so happy to stay with his setup, which I don't think is the best idea in the world. I think it's quite limited, especially after it not landing multiple times in the round. But obviously at this point, he'll just take what he can get because he's a little bit desperate and it's round 11. Again, throws the hook around, it's blocked. Benavidez pulls away and sort of uses this parry here, and then transitions again, puts both of his gloves around to his left, and then blocks this right hook again. Moves out to his right. You can see he doesn't want to do a reset. I just think he's too tired. He decides to sort of use this bladed guard here. He's pretty square on. He steps forward to smother the range and then just closes in his guard, blocks this left uppercut here, and then puts his block hands on his left side, again defending that hook. I mean, these are big shots and none of these are landing really effectively. They're more landing on the gloves and the arms, just bouncing off here. In my opinion, Morrell's just putting way too much into his punches here. They're coming out in single shots and they're coming out with just enough time for Benavidez to react to them. It seems Morrell sort of punched himself out here, so he just engages with his high guard. He then pulls away. Benavidez is happy to say, okay, so you've had your turn, now let me. He pushes him away just slightly with the frame, and then he slips inside just a little bit, and then looks at the body before coming up with the left hook to the head. Now, as you can see, Morrell's defense was pretty good for this. He steps away, he's pretty bladed sideways on, and then he just rolls under the left hook. I don't know if he tries to look for a counter, but Benavidez sort of feints the defense, and both of them look quite tired here. You can see again, Morrell's about to go for a full punch combination. All of them pretty much blocked. Some of them were obviously getting through. I mean, I do have to say, this is obviously still hurting Benavidez. I mean, you don't take these punches to the gloves. It impacts your head, and then you feel nothing, you know? It's just interesting to me that no clean shots are really landing. But look, they're breathing heavy. They're tough now. Benavidez is going to put on a little bit of bravado and say, okay, yeah, come on, come get me. But both of them look like they're lagging a little bit at this point. Morrell's again going to come in with a 1-2. Benavidez going to pull back with his blocks and parries, move out to his right slightly, and then Benavidez, he hasn't punched in a while now. He's probably going to look to set up his lead hand. As you can see here, he uses a double jab here, just 1 and 2. Lovely work. And from Morrell's body language, he already wants to move away. He's backing off right now. He's keeping his hands down, too tired to defend these jabs. He bounces around to his right again. Legs are straight. He's tired. His feet aren't letting him get back into his base quickly. Another really long jab here. Benavidez walking him down. Morrell engages with the high guard now, just as a little feint. He sees Benavidez's guard come up just from it, and then he goes for a block around, and then he feints the left hand, but just can't find it. And after this, here Benavidez is going to try to stalk forwards. Morrell's going to probably do one of the smartest things he's done all round, and just give himself a little bit of a break, okay? So he raises his guard here. Benavidez is just waiting patiently. He just uses a jab to the front glove. Another touch jab here. Morrell's going to decide to back off and not set his feet to let Benavidez work, and then he's just going to break his base, reset out to his right. He uses a little bit of misdirections here. He's starting to feel confident in his defense again, so he uses upper body movement. Benavidez is just going to try to sharpshoot his jab now, isn't he? He's going to raise his guard. He's going to see this slip here and try to jab to the head. It sort of grazes it. And once he sees him in this slip position here, he shoots again super accurately and just steps in with this jab here. So he's a little bit passive now in front of Morrell. He sees Morrell raise his guard. He's going to defend his lead hand. Obviously, that's the biggest priority here. Once he defends it, he moves back in case of a left hand and then comes back in and is going to shoot his right hand, I think. So he's going to wait just a little bit, sort of feint out this rhythm with this half jab, and then step in with a jab to the air, or more of a feint, and then come in with this 2 to the chest. It bothers Morrell quite a bit, just sending him a little bit off balance for a second. And as Benavidez backs away, he's going to regain his base and then is just going to decide to go for a safer shot and jab the top of the forehead. Now, if we look at Morrell here, he wants to retaliate. He sees this jab coming, tries to sort of slip or duck it. It doesn't really work. And then he comes back with his own 3-punch combination. He uses a counter, comes in with a double backhand, so 2-2-1. Now, the adjustment Morrell has made is basically a sort of fuck it attitude where he's like, I will take this jab while punching with you, basically. It's a desperate option, in my opinion, but as you can see, his hands are down now. You can tell he's tired. Benavidez steps in with his jab, and instead of even defending it, he just ducks and goes for a straight left hand straight away, catches Benavidez here, and then just waits in front of him. Benavidez stays confident with his lead hand though, and as you can see, he sees Morrell. He's just been countered twice in the same position, but he still decides to go for a jab and then sort of have confidence that he can step back from the counters. He feints it here. Morrell uses a little bit of upper body movement. He slips away from this jab quite well here. And then Morrell, from this low look, he's going to look at the body, step in with a feint jab to the body. Benavidez shuffles back and looks for a counter. As soon as he sets his feet, he sees that Morrell hasn't thrown, so he's just going to go for a 1 to the head and then a 2 to the body. What happens, though, is, unfortunately, from this position, if you look at their lead feet, Morrell throws a simultaneous hook as Benavidez comes in. It lands to the arm, but you can see him trip here and then just fall over. It's not a knockdown, but Benavidez isn't complaining. He understands what it may have looked like. It doesn't really matter, unfortunately. That's the nature of boxing. Sometimes it's hard for a referee to see everything happening in such an intense and fast-paced fight. Now, Benavidez needs to retaliate. So what's he going to do? He's going to feint first, his little step here as he raises his guard, and then come in with the jab. That's defended by Morrell quite well. And then Morrell's just going to decide to go for a check right hook here. He sees that he's being backed up near the ropes, and he's just going to show Benavidez his jab, come around with the right as he pivots out. Benavidez does something I really, really don't see often. He blocks and throws his right hand at the same time. Look at this. It's such a strange movement, probably one of the strangest simultaneous counters I've ever seen. But yeah, it lands and it works. But Morrell's intent, however, was to obviously get away from these ropes and reset around to the right, which he did. And it created quite a bit of space, which slows down Benavidez. Benavidez is just going to happily walk him down, raise his lead glove as a bladed look in case of any jabs or lead hand work. And then he's going to straight away just shoot this backhand. Lovely work. You can see his intent to get the outside foot position here, really closing the distance quickly with this high guard. And then Morrell realizes he's going to have to fight out of this situation because he's a little bit trapped. He steps back with the high guard. He uses his two. He feints low and then comes around with the hook and the two again. This one does seem to land well, this two around the guard. And he's trying to fight out a little bit more. Benavidez's whole intent, however, is to get in at close range. So he takes this two on the gloves. He feints and comes around with a hook. He's happy to hold Morrell's head here because he's going to try to push him back. And then again, uses his right glove as a frame, just holding Morrell in position. You can see how off balance this makes Morrell. Holds it there and then goes for a left hook to the head, right uppercut to the head, left hook to the head again. Really trying to spam these fast, close range 4s and 5s. And then goes for this sort of flipping 8-punch combination at the end here. He's using a frame in a southpaw position to keep him there. And then he's squared up, which is obviously going to give you the maximum power. It doesn't look like Morrell's going to counter here, and he just goes for this. Let's count the punches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and then what happens is, well, apparently it was just a little bit on the bell, and then Morrell just goes whack like that, and yeah, that definitely stumbles Benavidez. Anyway, well, if you want to watch the rest of the round, I won't show you the whole thing, but referee tells them to get out of the ring, and then he takes a point for hitting after the bell, which is a pretty insane round, actually. A trip knockdown and someone hitting below the bell, and then a point deduction. But anyway, it was a dramatic round. It was a great round to study, and I really hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time, guys. Happy training.